Now, Sports Talk with Brodes. Here's Hunter Brody.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome to Sports Talk with Brodes. We are broadcasting live from the Manscaped Man Cave. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code BROD at manscaped.com. Happy Halloween! That is right, it's Halloween. This is one of my favorite holidays. Now, I'm not the one to normally go out and dress up and get all crazy, although this year I am. I'm normally not a big dress-up guy, but I love the atmosphere. I love fall. I love October. I love Halloween movies. Like, I'm a Halloweensman. I love candy, Sour Patch Kids. And it bothers me that nowadays it's not the same. You don't see little kids trick-or-treating. They go to the Lowe's parking lot and they go trunk-or-treating. In what world? Come on, knock on the damn door. Go get your candy. Get your pillowcase. Go out and snag a bunch of bowls. When it says take one only, you pour the whole thing into your pillowcase. You run to the next house. That's what it's all about. And sadly, that is not how it's operated anymore. And it's sad. It really is. I think the generation of where I'm at in life, right? My generation, we need to go back to the prime of Halloween as we start to have kids. Because this is nonsense. Bang on the door. I'll dump a shit ton of candy into your bag or whatever you have, your pumpkin, and do the same at the next house. It sucks. It takes away what Halloween is all about. But I digress. I just want to wish everyone a happy Halloween. I hope you enjoy the day, whether you're going to a party later in the night or you're just relaxing, watching movies, whatever the case may be. Happy Halloween, everybody. I'm actually going as to this party that I'm going as a Paulie D, and the fiance's going as Snooki. So you can follow me on Instagram at Brodes81. I'll probably toss up a picture at some point. And by the way, on Twitter at Brodes81 as well, I have a 76ers giveaway that I'm doing to celebrate Daryl Morey being hired by the Sixers, a free 76ers hat. So go follow me on Twitter. Go look at my pinned tweet. All you need to do is retweet it and make sure you follow me, and that's it. You're in the running. All right, enough of this nonsense. Enough of me ranting about Halloween. Let's talk about the 76ers, because ever since the signing of Daryl Morey, the hiring, I should say, I don't know why I always say signing. It's a hiring. But ever since then, the storylines all around the basketball world. Should the 76ers trade Ben Simmons for James Harden? Should the Sixers go out and get a Russell Westbrook? Should the Sixers split up the two stars on their team? And I just don't understand the obsession with it. I don't understand why everyone is so fascinated with moving these two pieces right now after hiring Doc Rivers, after getting an entirely new assistant coaching staff, which, look, if you said, and I heard Keith Pompey speak about this, if you told the Sixers fan base that you signed Sam Cassell, if you hired Sam Cassell as your head coach, you'd be excited about it. If you hired Dave Yeager as your head coach, you'd be excited about that. You now have that as a team with Doc Rivers, yet you want to automatically move two big pieces to the puzzle here? I don't even see how it is a conversation. And I know people like to have barroom talk and casually have a debate about, hey, who would go, who would stay if you were to move on from one. I get it. But it's been how many damn years now of the same conversation? I'm over it. I really am. Right now, with where we are right now, after all of these front office moves, this would be the last time to do it. I don't know if there would ever be a worse time to move on from one of these pieces. I can't comprehend it, and I hate how everyone is all about instant results. It needs to happen right now, and it's just not the case. If you are a logical human being, which I know it's hard to be an emotional fan sometimes and use logic in the same moment, but if you are a logical individual who uses your brain cells, if you go through something like the process, which worked, by the way, because you wouldn't be in the mindset that you are now, thinking this team has a legit championship run in them, if there was no process, and you care so damn much about games that are normally planned in November and October and December, that never happened pre-process days. So it did work because you care. You care too much. And the reason why you care too much is because they tanked and got the players that they did. But going back to the point here, if you used your brain and realized that, okay, they were tanking, they were getting stars, and if you watch the NBA for a long period of time, you know what type of stars dominate the league. You know what type of players win championships in this league. They're not 20, they're not 21, they're not 22. Now, there's outliers out there. If you look through the history of the NBA, there will be some outliers here and there, but you don't build your franchise and have your expectations somewhere based off of the outliers. You base it on what is more of the common results, what dominates the results. And that's not a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old. That's not what it is. So when you look at the 76ers and you look at who is going to take them to the next step, it's the players that are that age now. Now, Joel Embiid is starting to flirt with the age that will take that next step. Once you hit 27, 28, 29, 30, that's where that next level really comes in the grown man's league that is the NBA. So Joel Embiid is starting to flirt with it, and getting a new coaching staff, I feel, can help him elevate his game because he needs someone to really teach him what to do based off the fact that he is so damn raw as a basketball player. It's so wild. And this isn't the first time I mention it, but this man seriously picked up a basketball at what point in his lifetime? And now he's at the point where, hold on a second, he is arguably, and if he's not one, he's two or three, arguably the best big man in the league. But fine, Jokic, Anthony Davis, okay, but then Joel Embiid. If he is third, he's third, whatever. The fact that he started playing hoops when he did, and he's where he's at now without fully understanding the game of basketball, just imagine if there's a coaching staff that can really pound into him what he needs to do and what he's going to have to learn to help him reach the next step. It would be a scary sight to see Joel Embiid with more knowledge of the game. And if there is a unit that I can rely on to maybe get that message to him, it's Doc Rivers and it's this coaching staff. So the instant results thing is what drives me crazy. And I know why it's frustrating, because people don't want to wait. People don't have patience when it comes to sports. They want it now. They want it right now, and they feel as if you're saying it's not a championship year, it's a failure, and that's just not the case. There's so many young players throughout the NBA that people are already wanting Ben Simmons to be traded for, whether it's Booker, Donovan Mitchell, because they score points, so people are super intrigued by them scoring points. There's always the conversation about, oh, this guy, that guy, this guy. Donovan Mitchell, he's losing in playoff rounds, early playoff rounds. Booker can't get a season together where they actually win majority of their games, because it takes time for all of these young players to grow in their own respected ways. It takes time for them to experience playoff losses, going through heartbreak. That's reality. You know, Jamal Murray and Jokic, that's probably the best comparison to the Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid duo. They went on a nice run. Would it be the same if they were playing in legit atmospheres without the bubble? If they were playing on the road in a building that was intense, that was loud, Game 7 atmosphere, would things change? Yeah, probably. I'm not trying to take away what they did. I think they're a step ahead of Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid. That was a nice run. But once again, that's more of the outlier than it is reality. You had a Kawhi Leonard team, a Paul George team, where Paul George shit the bed, played horrendous basketball in big moments, and that allowed the Denver Nuggets to kind of creep in there. I'm not taking anything away from them. I think they're a step ahead of Ben and Joel, but you can be that. You can be that with the duo that you have as they continue to grow. I am just so annoyed with, oh, you got to trade for Harden. You got to trade for Westbrook. I like those players. But James Harden isn't LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Michael Jordan. It's rare to find those pieces. But he's not that level where it's like, you need James Harden. You need him. You have to get him. That's what you're missing for a championship. I don't know if that's the case. Is it? Good player. I'm not taking anything away from what James Harden has become in this league. Phenomenal. Can really dribble the basketball. Can really flick his head back to make sure he gets a foul call, right? I mean, he does have a game that is magnificent in this league, and he's hard to stop. One-on-one isolation ball. Can definitely draw a lot of attention and kick out to his teammates. I'm not willing to give up, and this is the last moment that I would think, you know what, this is a good time to do it. This is the farthest moment from it. Maybe a couple years down the road, if you realize, hey, you know what, they had their chances, they had their opportunity, it's not really working like we thought it would, maybe we can move one. Okay, down the road, fine. Now it's too soon. My only issue is, see, I'm a Ben guy more than a Joel guy, just based off of, like right now, I think the better, more dominant player every night is Joel Embiid, but I don't think this team wins until Ben Simmons steps up, because Joel Embiid, to me, not Joel Embiid, it's the center position. It's hard to play with the center position being your best guy in the era of 2020. I'm not saying he's not useful. I'm not saying you can't benefit from having a Joel Embiid. No doubt about it, you can. But if your center is going to be your best player, I think there is a cap on where you go just because of how the game is played in 2020. So by the time Ben Simmons is where he needs to be, is Joel Embiid going to be this version of himself? He doesn't have the biggest window based off of his body breaking down. He's always hurt. He's 7'2". He's running a ton of miles up and down the floor. He's posting up more than any big man in the league. Yes, you heard me. Joel Embiid was posting up more than any big man in the league, regardless of what you like to think. It's just statistics, and he was, throughout the season, posting up more than anybody. That just shows you, once again, where the league has gone. Because the narrative around Joel Embiid here in Philly is the guy never posts up, Brett Brown is stupid, he doesn't use his big man right. Well, look around the league then. That's always my favorite, when people just focus on one but don't realize how that is compared to everybody else involved. Joel Embiid can post up. He should post up. But if you don't utilize his other skill sets, the post-up isn't as effective. You're not allowing him to fulfill his ceiling because you're limiting him to one part of his game. So for everyone that screams the big man can't shoot, well, I don't want you watching basketball anymore. It's probably the old get off my lawn type guys. It's 2020. You want to go back and forth and have 2s for 3s, 2 for 3s, 2 for 3s? You're not going to succeed. And that's why with Daryl Morey in here, the analytics is going to tell you he doesn't rely on that mid-range jumper. He doesn't rely on those 2-pointers that much. It's about 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, more possessions, more possessions, more possessions, and 3s. And that's where things get tricky because, well, where is that going to happen on this roster right now? Who's going to be popping those 3s? Joel Embiid? Okay, he can hit them. He has that to his game, but he's not a J.J. Redick. Tobias Harris, well, if we can get him back to the 40% shooter that he was in L.A., that would be very beneficial to this team. Shake Milton, Furkan, but that's not a playoff player. That's a regular season player. Big difference. Josh Richardson. These guys aren't like legitimate three-point guys. So it's going to be interesting. And another thing that Keith Pompey mentioned was people are afraid of Al Horford's deal. 34 years old, and I'm thinking about trades right now, right? Because when I thought about that, I'm like, okay, how are you going to get shooters on this team? People are afraid of that Al Horford contract. And the Knicks came out with some news saying, hey, maybe we'll take on some contracts. They're willing to use their space that they have financially to acquire some things if they get some in return, right? Like they'll be willing to be a destination to unload some contracts if they can get stuff in return as well. Is that a spot where you can go down and go, hey, or go up, if you will, call New York. What are you thinking? Pompey did say, though, that Matisse Thybulle's upside is ridiculous. Not sure if dumping him in with an Al Horford deal would be a great move. I've been vocal about I would do it. I would do it, and it's unfortunate. It's like you got to dig yourself out of a hole. Matisse Thybulle is going to be a nice player in this league, but I think you can find someone who can do his role. He's a great defender, right? I mean, he can definitely grow with his offensive side of the game, and I feel that he will one day. But if his cap is he is a nice player off the bench, well, you can find nice players off the bench. And sadly, you put yourself in this position. I don't want to get rid of Matisse Thybulle. I like his active hands. I like his aggressiveness. I feel he can grow and blossom into something really successful in this league. But based off of putting you here, I think at times you got to give some up because, damn, we fucked ourselves. Really, that's what it comes down to. We fucked ourselves. So what do? Do we continue to be fucked or do we get out of it? Would I be disappointed if they found a way to keep Matisse Thybulle? Absolutely not. Would I cry if they got rid of him because they were going down a path where they moved on from Al Horford and they freed up cap space? Probably not. No, I wouldn't be very disappointed. Now, I need to tell you about my friends at DraftKings. DraftKings has brought their expertise to legal sports betting. It's a legitimate sports book based right here in the U.S., so you can rest assured that your funds are totally secure. DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook app, is safe, secure, and reliable. Deposit and withdrawal at your convenience. Listen to this deal. It is just magnificent. All new users have a chance to earn a sign-up bonus up to $1,000. Download the app and sign up using promo code BRODES, BRODES. Head to the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and check out all that they have to offer, including player props, live betting, and so much more. If sportsbooks are not yet available in your state, don't forget about the DraftKings Fantasy app. They offer millions of dollars in total prizes every single week. And if you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be accessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. I get frustrated with the Sixers fans. I know Eagles fans and Eagles Twitter is obnoxious at times and they're over the top, but Sixers fans have reached a totally different level, and that's why I keep going back to the process. Did the process work? Is it a failure? I hate that conversation, but based off of the way people feel about this team now, based off of the reactions and the frustration and how annoyed they are, it worked. You care. You care too much. It's an obnoxious level of care. And why do you care? Because they sucked so much that they acquired all this talent, and now they have a roster that is in, they have two stars that make you feel as if they have a legitimate chance to compete in the NBA. So don't tell me the only way that it worked is if they win the championship. That's the ultimate goal. But the reason for the tank, and I hate that I actually have to go through this again because it's not rocket science. In the NBA, you can't be stuck in the 8th seed. You can't be stuck in the 9th seed. You will go nowhere with constantly picking 15, 16 in the draft, and you get average player after average player after average player after losing in the first round. And the only reason why they ever got past that first round the 1 year is because of what happened with the Bulls, and they were extremely banged up. And while, yes, they competed against the Boston Celtics in 2008, once again, that's the outlier. You can't build your roster and build your mindset as an organization based off of what happens 2% of the time. You'll be waiting forever and ever and ever for that 2% to finally kick into play. And realistically, that 2% got you where? Game 7 in the second round, which is where the Sixers went 2 years ago, but there was a different level of expectations where they actually had a legitimate chance at it, and unfortunately they fell on their face, but that's different than the Iguodala days. You can't be stuck there. You can't be. And now the Sixers have a whole new identity, and the coaching staff deserves years, not just 1 year, years to work with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid specifically. And I asked this question on 97.3 ESPN on Friday's show about Ben Simmons, Is this the year that you see more three-point attempts than in the past? And I'm not saying the dude's going to be taking 2 or 3 three-pointers a game, but what if you got one legit NBA three-pointer every 5 games out of Ben Simmons? Is that enough? I'm frustrated as anybody else is. But if you don't see that there is work being done, if there is a step happening, well, shame on you. It's happening. It might not be happening at the level that we want it to, but he is clearly way more confident in certain areas on the floor from 3 than he ever has been in his career. Specifically, that perimeter from the perimeter on the corners. He is nailing down those shots, and I've seen it with my own 2 eyes when I was covering the team, when I would be there for warm-ups, and it was nonstop 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Wasn't missing, consistently draining from the corner. It has been worked on. It's just about getting him to do it more. Is this the year? Because the fire is going to be lit under these players, having a new identity, having a new atmosphere, and a legit NBA atmosphere. This isn't, okay, here's a guy trying things out. These are respected NBA voices from president of basketball operations all the way through your last assistant coach. Because of that and the intensity that will bring and the mindset that will change, will you see the jump in Ben Simmons to the level of our liking? That might go too far. I don't know if it'll be to the level of our liking, because the level of our liking would probably be at least 1 a game. But what if every 4 or 5 games you get one legitimate NBA three-point attempt? Would that satisfy you, or would you be extremely frustrated with that because then you're thinking, you're doing it! You're doing it! So if you're doing it 1 every 4, why not do it every game? Would that almost be more frustrating because you're seeing it at a higher level, but then you question, come on, and that's when the results right now conversation comes back. It's always about the results right now. There is a growing period throughout sports, and I'm not saying that this is good. Like, I'm not saying that this is where I want to be with Ben Simmons, but there's something that tells me this isn't your average player, right? This isn't your average story about a guy working on shooting the basketball. This is different. It's unique. It's annoying. It's irritating. It's not the way that it normally goes with players who are bad shooters that become shooters. This is a totally different scenario, and it's on its own. But I'm going to allow him to take it slowly because he is taking it slowly. Will I see enough of a jump, though? If I see a jump that is still moving in a slow pace, but it's significantly more than what we saw last year, well, then it's showing me, all right, hold on a second, there's something to it. If he comes out and it's nothing whatsoever, yeah, I'm probably going to be screaming. But you did hear Doc Rivers speak when he first got hired about Ben Simmons in the shooting, and he's like, I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about Ben Simmons shooting. I'm worried about team success. Doc Rivers is a big stat guy when it comes to, okay, how many points is the team averaging per game? What is the offensive efficiency? Well, if the team offensive efficiency is something that makes Doc Rivers happy and something that results in winning, does it matter if Ben Simmons is shooting the basketball or if he's creating a shot for someone else to shoot the basketball? He's just worried about the overall points per game, how much they're scoring, the efficiency. He doesn't care who's doing it. It's about how is the team getting it done. So take that for what it is. But we all know the type of player Ben Simmons can be if he does add that to his game. And I feel guilty saying that I'm allowing Ben to do it at a rate because I know that he has to do it, but it comes down to how it looks this year for me. But his ceiling's too high. His ceiling is too high. I can't defend the people that don't see anything out of Ben because there's so many Ben haters just based off of what he doesn't do that doesn't appreciate what he does do. And I think that is unfair, and I can't justify it. This dude is the best defender 1 through 5. There's 2 areas of the court. For everyone who loves James Harden but goes, yeah, but he can't defend. Well, isn't that somewhat the same with Ben Simmons? Like, well, why don't you love Ben Simmons the same and say, yeah, but he struggles with the shooting? Because there's so many that love James Harden, but they'll bring up his flaw. He's not a great defender, but he can score. And that's where the fascination and obsession with scoring overpowers people. There's so many around all of sports, not just basketball. Hockey, for example. How many players they can score, but they are horrendous in the D zone. But they score. So that's all that people care about. Yet there could be a third liner that's good with a lot of areas of the game, but he won't get as much recognition because defense doesn't pop as much, which is crazy to me because there's a guy named Aaron Rowan who ran into a wall, broke his nose for the Phillies, and everybody loves him. People love hard work and effort in this city. Ben Simmons gives you that and only that, and now it's what? He's not good enough? Ben Simmons gives you the best defense we probably have ever seen in this damn city on the basketball floor, but it's not appreciated in this city, which blows my mind because there's something that annoys you on the other end, and it takes away from what you can appreciate as well. I think it's okay and reasonable to look at what he does offensively and what he can grow into and be mad about it, yet that doesn't mean what he does so great and so effective and so elite. Look at that and go, but that doesn't matter because of this one flaw. No, it matters. I mean, it definitely matters. If you don't see the difference in this team when he's on the floor and off the floor, God bless you. I think you need to learn more about the sport of basketball. Now, I'm not surprised that mentioning the name Ben Simmons brought me down this whole entire debate about what he is and his ceiling and all that, because you just mentioned the name Ben Simmons and it sparks this big conversation, sparks this big topic, no matter where you're speaking. The reason why I wanted to talk today is just because I think this moving on from Ben Joel topic that's being thrown around, it blows my mind. There's no reason at all. You give this staff time to work with these guys. You just brought in a very experienced crew, and you're going to throw away these guys? Why? Because the alternative is, here's what people will say who want to do it. You're bringing in other great talent. It's not like you're losing potential superstar talent for not superstar talent. If you bring in a Harden or other pieces, you have great talent returning. Okay, I'm not saying that you don't. But with this crew, I've talked about it. You don't just throw around roster pieces, extreme roster pieces, over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. The way I relate it to turnover is, look at the NFL. Look at the Browns. The Browns turning over roster, turning over roster, turning over roster, turning over roster, turning over head coach, organizations moving on from this guy, that guy, this guy. What has that resulted in? Now, right now, they're playing their best football that they have, but how long have they sucked? How long has it taken to find somebody? How long have they been the worst football team in the history of the NFL? Forever. And all they do is turn over the head coach, turn over the GM, turn over this guy, turn over that guy. Turning over pieces over and over and over and over again, that's not a recipe for success. So, and that's why you look at Brett Brown. He was here for 7+ years. Yes, it was time for him to go. And the Sixers have been going through regimes. And their regimes, it's been a while since they've been relevant when it comes to a legit NBA Finals run. We thought it was over the last couple of years, and that wasn't the case, based off of youth, based off of not being ready yet, based off of needing to learn and have experience and gain heartbreak so you can then take the next step in your careers. But I'm talking NBA championship, the way that people look at the Bucks and people look at LeBron and the Lakers and the Warriors and those type of teams. Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a lot of turnover. It's been a lot of turnover with the roster. Stick with the two. Stick with the two. Let these two grow and develop together. And don't get sucked into all this stuff about what Joel Embiid tweets and, oh, he wants to get out of here. He loves Jimmy Butler so much. Look at what he's tweeting about Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. I can't stand how much people value, oh, look at what this guy liked on Instagram. It's sad. That's where we are and the way that kids are with Instagram and social media. I'm active on social media, but, oh, look at what this guy commented. That means he wants to get out of here, and this guy did that, and this guy's not friends with this guy anymore. He unfollowed the Twitter account. Come on. Well, this episode is also sponsored by Orbit Energy and Power. With over 20 years of experience in the solar industry, Orbit is home to your solar experts in residential and commercial solar projects. They are dedicated to making sure your project is completed easily and properly by using high-quality materials and trained professionals to get the job done right. They also provide water purification systems, backup energy services, battery storage, and more. So check out their information. It's all down below in the description. Oh, man, the 76ers. I wish they were playing right now. We'd be games into the regular season. Yet here we are. We don't know when it's going to happen. We don't know when the time will be here where the Sixers will be bouncing that ball on the court. And it sucks. I'm so accustomed to breaking them down. We'd be breaking down the Sixers right now. Can you imagine? It would have been unreal. But nope, not the case. And hopefully we get 72 games instead of 50-plus because I want to react to more basketball. I want more games. The more, the merrier, so we can see what this team is all about and react night by night. Thank you all so much for listening, and I will see you next time.